All right, everyone. I'm going to teach you guys or what the practice world should look like. Okay, so here's my practice world. It's called My Test World. I put a little icon. It's supposed to be a dog, but it's a little too big there. If you don't have it, it's fine. Don't worry about that. All right, so I'm loading it in Unity. Okay, and you should get something that kind of looks like kind of an empty world with like a purple thing. Now, I want you to see what you should see. So see how I have these two blue hands? Okay, moving my controllers. If I hold down the triggers, you can see it kind of causes this gripping animation. Okay. I also, if I hold down the pointers, you see I get this raise. Okay. Do a little laser light show for you. All right, so this is what we call a ray indicator, okay? Or can allow me to pick things up or possibly even move if I do teleportation. So the way I've set up your default is you have two kind of joysticks, one on the left and one on the right. If I hold down the right, you can see I'm turning. If I go to the left, or if I go to the, if I pull it to clockwise, it goes right. If I go to counterclockwise, I go left. This is going a full 360. You could set this up to be what's called a snap turn, which means you might remember when you did your videos for your, your Frame VR, that it kind of like would spin kind of like 45 degrees. You could set that up too. We'll talk about that in the future. For now, just don't worry about it. We're just going to go the full 360, but you could do it that way. My other one will kind of let me move forward and backwards. Okay, so I'm moving forward and backwards, and what I'm going to do is I have what's called my floor here, which I should have made a different color, but I'll make it a different color for you guys. I'm going to use my ray indicator, and I'm going to point it at the floor, and you're going to see how it's white. And what this actually allows me to do is do what's called teleporting. So if I hold it, see how it turns white? I'm going to let go, and you can see I jumped to that area. Okay, so you could set up your floor to kind of, teleport basically. If I try pointing it over here, see I'm getting this red indicator? That means I can't. So this particular floor over here does not have teleportation, whereas this one does. Now, you can actually even set up, so this actually has a specific anchor. So I can actually teleport to a very specific spot in a particular look, like the way you're viewing. I could set it so I'm like facing outward. Okay, so this is what's called a teleportation anchor. We'll talk about this in future classes, what that means. Okay. All right, so let's pick stuff up now. I'm sitting in a chair currently. If I stand up, you can see that I'm a little bit farther away. So you may have to like sit or stand. This is where, be careful when hopefully you're at a desk or somewhere. Now, what I can do is I have these interactive objects here. Now, this one is what we call a direct interaction, which means I actually have to physically touch it with my glove. Okay, this is what's called a hover effect, where I'm touching the object or I'm interacting with it. And I'm going to pick it up, or at least grab it at least. I'm using the grip there. Oops. You can see it changed to yellow. I got to fix the codes. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so if I go away from the object. Now, I have to actually literally grab it, okay? The difference here is this is an indirect, okay, or a ray interaction. And you can see I'm just pointing at this red cube over here, and I'm still getting that hover effect like I did when I was touching it literally, okay? The difference is obviously that I don't have to be right next to the object. So sometimes you might want that in your world where you're not directly, next to the object. I can still point, and you can still see I'm interacting with it, even though I can be far away from it. And if I press the trigger, I'm still getting that same effect, but once again, I don't have to literally be next to it. I lost my blue. Oh, there it is. Speaking of, I'm going to grab this object. So see how it's turning white? White means I can interact. I'm going to grab the trigger, and you can see I picked up this. So this is all ray interaction. And you can see that my objects, whoops. I don't know how I did that, but let me see if I can. Okay. I got a little turned around there. All right. What's going to happen here is I can grab these objects, and I have different amounts of gravity. So this has a lot to do with, like, by the way, I can do either here. So I've set this up. So I here in this case, I literally grabbed it. I'm letting it go, and you can see there's some gravity applied to it. I can also use the ray indicator. If I hold it down, you can see it grabs it. And there's different types of movement, so you can play around with that too. Okay. Sometimes you could set it up. So if I point my ray indicator, I'm just holding it down, and you can see both of these are interactive, the purple and the red cube. If I grab the red cube, you can see it snaps into my hand, like literally you can see it right there, right? And I'm just going to put it back. If I click on, or I use the purple one, when I grab it, see how I'm like, it's still grabbed, but I'm keeping the distance so it doesn't like jump into my hand. So you can actually have scripts like that, so that objects don't necessarily have to, jump into your hand like a kind of, like a go-go gadget arm kind of thing. Oops. All right. Another thing is, when we grab objects, we can say where the object is going to fit into our hands. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, if I hold down, I think for this, no, it does do it. I don't know why I couldn't get it before, but I'm going to grab this left gun here. And when I do that, oh, actually, that's the one. See how it fits nicely into the grip? So my finger's on the trigger and all that. And I can fire a little gun there. And when I do this one, oops. Maybe they're both set up this way. Actually, I guess they're set up correctly. I think I might have duplicated it. But sometimes, you see how they fit perfectly? Whereas sometimes it's like, well, if I pick up this, let's say I point at this object here and I pick it up, I'm picking it up from like kind of the middle, and it kind of looks a little awkward. So you can, you can set it up. I don't know why I can't. There we go. Oh, there you go. See how it's like kind of not fitting perfectly for the right hand? Okay. But if I do the other one, I'm like hitting my desk here. There you go. See, that fits perfectly. Okay. So we can set that up so that when an object, we grip an object, we can tell it exactly where to hold the object from and what direction to hold it. Another thing is we can grab an item and actually cause a trigger. So here I have this. See how I have this hover effect, right? And when I grip, watch up there, there's going to be a little ball appears. Okay. So you interacting, my point of this is like you interacting with this object can actually cause other things to occur. Okay. The last thing I want to show, remember how we talked last week about physics? Okay. So I have this ball here. Okay. And this, I can't show you while the game is running, but if you were to select this object in Unity and look at the rigid body, I set the mass of this to be 10. And I think I set the mass of the blocks, or the red cubes here, to be like 1. So what that means is the ball is heavier than the blocks. So when I throw it, it easily knocks over, the blocks, right? Or at least if you add any sort of force. Now, what I did here on this green one is this is still 10, but this is like, I set these up to be 25. So the mass of the blocks, the green blocks or the green cubes, is much higher than this, even though both of these have exactly the same mass. So when I throw it, it basically bounces off. Okay. You can see that I don't really get any real reaction there. Okay. So I just wanted to show you kind of what we can do in our world. That's kind of it. I mean, that's going to be it for today. Now, what's going to happen is, starting with the next module, is I will teach you guys how to set all this up, how to set up things like teleportation or picking up an object, or even how to set this up where like you can see that my view is changing when I tilt my head back and forth. Okay. So yeah, try that out in your headset. You should see something roughly like this. If you don't, let me know and we can work on it. Okay.